Hey everybody, Tim Norris here, aka GreyElephant.
And Carmen Norris.
And today we're going to be doing a live play / review preview of a game that's currently on Kickstarter by 5th Street Games called
Mobtown.
Okay, so we're going to go over the setup of Mobtown, and this is a kind of an interesting way that this works is because you got to set up the town itself. So the way this works is that you flip over the first card, and in this case we have a factory with a number 4 up in the upper left-hand corner, and down at the bottom between the weasels and the rat picture, there's an arrow pointing down. What this means is that the next card I flip over will go directly underneath the factory. So the next card shows that between the rat and the sharks that the next card goes to the right. Now I'm going to keep doing this in a 2-player game until I get 12 total cards on the table. Now the way that this board sets up at the beginning of the game is both a positive and a negative. The reason that it's definitely a positive is because no 2 games will be, well, I can't see any 2 games being exactly the same, because the combinations you're going to make with these arrows should always create a funky type of board to where trying to match and have the exact same board the next round would be pretty tough to do. While it's a bit of a negative is because you're always having to move and shuffle things around because it seems like it can either be this long straight line with this big club at the top or it can even bend around an arc and take over, so you're always having to slide the cards, which is kind of a little bit annoying during setup. Okay, now that we've got our board all set up, we're going to take the remaining properties, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to place them, let's see, why don't we place them right here? Does that work for you? And we're going to turn over the very top 3 cards, okay? And then we're going to just put this rest of the properties right here in a stack. Now, the reason is because we might be able to add these properties somewhere on the outer edge of the game board if we decide to do that. Now, Carmen and I are going to try to make sure, like we said, to keep everything into the play of the game, so we're not going to put any down here. That way we don't have to adjust the cards. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we've shuffled up our card of character cards, and each of us is going to be dealt 3 cards apiece. Now I'm going to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of these cards, and then I'm going to take the law card. The law is the card that basically will signify it's the end of the round once it's drawn. I'm going to shuffle it up with those 10 cards, and now I'm going to place these cards on the bottom of the deck, just like that. So whenever the law card pops up, game will be over. Next, I'm going to take 5 cards and flip them up here at the top of the screen, and I hope these are showing up well enough. So I'm going to bring them down just a little bit further, and why don't you slide your chips a little bit that direction, and I will slide mine this direction a little bit, and then we're going to put the draw pile right here. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this real quick. Carmen and I are going to now select 2 agendas out of our, what do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 possible agendas to choose from, okay? Now, I'm going to select my 2, and I'm going to tell you secretly which 2 I have selected so that you can follow along while we're playing. Alright, so I'm going to go with 2 of, I think, are the little bit of hardest agendas to accomplish. I'm going to go for majority, and I'm going to go for the most connected. Now the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to try to cut her off and try to force her to the top of the board so that I can try to take over the entire bottom of the board and try to use the open lot to try to expand at the bottom as well.
Okay, now why don't I tell you about the agendas that I chose and why. Now I've gone for agendas in the past where I needed to have the most territory, and it seems like he always muscles me out of my territory at the last minute and I lose. So this time I decided to go for a hotel because there's only 1 on the board, so I think I can get the majority of hotels. Gaming halls, there's only 2. I could possibly get a 3rd one because of the expansion, so I think I can handle that.
Okay, so we've got kind of a lot of things going on here. These are called the open lot, these 3 cards here, and for an action, you can add them to the perimeter of the outside of the city, any place. These cards up here are cards that we're going to hopefully be able to add to our hand at some point in time. And I'm going to slide these down just a tad bit further so they get a little bit more in camera. Unfortunately here, in fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stack these like this, which will allow me to bring this down just a tad bit further for you guys. Okay, so the way that this is going to work is that what we're trying to do is for instance, we're going to take a look at this number 4 factory card. Now, at the bottom of the card, it tells you what type of characters are needed to be able to take over the factory. So in the case of the factory, it's a combination of rats and weasels. at the very top left-hand of the card, it shows a number. That is the number of characters it takes to take over this factory. So what you can do is you can decide to use 3 weasels, 1 rat, 4 rats, 4 weasels, however combination you want to do, but only rats and weasels can take over the factory. And the way we're going to do that is by playing the cards out of our hand. So on our turn, we are allowed to either draw 2 cards off the top of this deck. We're allowed to trade in 1 card to try to collect any one type of animal from here. So for instance, if I wanted to, I could get rid of a card out of my hand and grab both of these foxes and then replace the missing other fox with the top card of the draw deck. We can also decide to cash in. To be able to cash in, you have to have money cards, which they'll come into play here in just a bit, and we'll show you. You can also take over a territory. You can do the open lot ability, and you can also swap an agenda. So if it looks like you're not going to meet your agenda and, well, you need to do something, well, you can swap it out and get a new one. So I will defer to Carmen to be the first player. So Carmen, by all means, why don't we begin?
Okay. I'm going to trade in this rat to grab the foxes.
What does the fox
say? Good when there's an animal up here that has a 2 on it. I tend to grab that.
Speaking of that, I didn't mention that. You bought, or you actually was able to obtain a fox with a 2 at the top, correct? Okay. Now, what that represents is 2 foxes. So, for instance, if she wanted to take over a theater spot that had a 2 up in the upper left-hand corner, she could play just the 1 fox, discard it, boom, she has now taken over the theater. So that's kind of a cool way to do it. Now, the one thing is you want to always try to keep in mind what your agendas are, because those are worth extra victory points at the end of the game. And let me see here. I'm going to see if I could possibly just take something over right away. You're also going to score points based upon the value of the property you have taken over as well. So, for instance, I'm going to probably draw 2 cards. I'm going to draw 2 cards. Okay, so I'm going to... Carmen, it is your turn again. You didn't see that fox. Even though this is just a prototype, I really dig this art. I like how each one of the animals actually looks like it represents where it is located in what building. For instance, the weasel is carrying a baseball bat, and it makes me think of like a Union thug. I like how the shark has a pool stick, so he belongs in the gaming hall. Really cool, and it helps keep with the theme of the game.
I wanted before you get it, so I play 2, 3, 4 foxes and take over the hotel. Okay,
so Carmen has used 4 foxes. Now, if you look at the top left-hand corner of the hotel, it takes 4 of either snakes or foxes or a combination of the 2. So she decided to play a number 2 fox, a number 1 fox, and a number 1 fox, which does add up to 4. So therefore, she places her little marker, her little yellow marker here on this, which signifies that she has taken over this part of the city. Now, if I wanted to, I could take that over. However, now I would have to spend either 5 foxes or 5 snakes. So it becomes a little bit more expensive.
Or a combination of snakes and foxes.
And the way that would work is I would just place my token on top, then it would take 6. And then if she took it back over, then it would take 7. Now you see just how difficult it can be to take a property away from another person once it gets so high. The other thing is that now that she has taken over this hotel spot, she's going to want to try to take over either this one down here, here, or here. She wants to go orthogally, which is either up, down, left, or right. You cannot go diagonally. If she decided to go diagonally, she would have to discard a card equal to the number of spaces she is skipping. So, for instance, if she did decide to try to go down here to this number 1 factory, she would have to discard 1 card for to be able to get down there. Now, let's say if I owned this card and I own this card, and she still wanted to build here, instead of discarding it, she would have to pay me that card instead. So it can be very powerful to own. Try to surround your opponent with as many of your tokens. So now that you have taken over a place, I will take over a place as well. I'm going to go for this theater, and I am going to get rid of a number 2 weasel, a number 1 weasel, and a number 1 fox, which does come up to 4. And I will now place my token on the theater. Just so you know, to be able to do an open lot action, which means that you're going to select one of these cards and place it on the exterior of anywhere on the map, you would actually get rid of one of these 3 briefcase tokens. So you only get to do this 3 times per round. Discard it, place one of these out, and then possibly, if you meet the criteria of what's on it, you can immediately take it over as well. But you have to be able to have the cards in your hand to be able to take over it. You don't just automatically get it. However, if you don't spin these briefcases, they will be worth 2 victory points apiece at the end of the game.
I'm just going to draw 2 cards
Okay. So what I'm going to do next is that it's going to take me a total of 5 to take over this hotel that she has in her possession. And I just happen to have a number 3 and a number 2 fox in my hand, which means I will now take over her hotel as well. So now it's going to take 6 to be able to take that back away from me. So very powerful strong arm move there from my behalf. I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep it, but I'm sure as heck going to try. So Carmen, it is back to your turn again.
Okay, I'm going to spend my cold hard cash.
Okay, so how does that work then?
I discard it and I get to choose 3 of these cards.
Any 3? So she doesn't have to go with one animal type this time, unlike when we were trading in. What this is cash. You're basically just buying the characters to come into your hand to help you out. Okay, and then those would be replaced with, ooh, another cold hard cash popped up.
Nice.
All right, well, that's an awful weird variety.
One aspect of the game that I really enjoy is the fact that they added the agendas. I mean, you have a game with set collecting and area control, and then you add the agendas to that, and that really adds another element that you have to keep track of and keeps it even more interesting.
The other thing you can use cold hard cash for is as a wild card, and it could represent a 1 value for any character that you need. Alright, so I am now going to spend my cold hard cash as well, and I'm going to pick up this cold hard cash out of the lineup. I will also pick up this weasel, and I'm going to pick up this rat. And then I'll replace with 3 new cards. Oh, another cold hard cash popped up in the lineup too. Goodness. Oh, 2 of them. Oh. Not cool. Very good time for Carmen to be the player to take her turn. Wow.
So I'm going to trade in this shark. I'm going to grab the 2 cold hard cash
Shocker,
cards.
shocker. Okay. Oh, look at that. 3 sharks. Well, I can't pass that up. I will trade in my fox, and I'm going to grab all 3 of these sharks out of the lineup because I grabbed all of the exact same type of animal. So that was a pretty good trade for me. All right, Carmen.
Okay. I think I'm going to go ahead and take over that factory.
Right here, or this one?
So that's 2.
Uh-huh. All right. And then you just discard your card. So what I am going to do is I really wanted that factory for myself, so I'm going to play a weasel and 2 rats, and I'm going to take it back over. Bam! Look at that! Driving you! Get out of my town!
Okay, my plans have totally been messed up now. Not only did he take the hotel from me, but he's taken the factory, so I'm going to have to work my way back down there or just switch my agenda to make it easier.
Alright, good job, good job. Okay, now I am going to work downwards, I think, and I'm going to spin 2 sharks, and I'll take over the gaming hall just right here down below me. The factory in the center of this board is really where I can try to force her straight up. Now, she might take that factory back over, but I want to keep this hotel. What this is doing is it's forcing her to the top and me to the bottom, so hopefully I can complete both of my agendas.
Oh. I'll just see if I can get some good cards first, and we'll see what I do on my next turn.
Well, I think what I will do is, well, I will. I'm going to spend my cold hard cash I got again, and I'm going to take both of these snakes, and I'll take this rat. Gee, I wonder why. I wonder why. Oh, 2. Oh, wow, wow. So 3 foxes and 2 snakes in the lineup.
Look at all those snakes.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome.
Okay. So I will spend my cold hard cash. I'll grab 2 snakes and a fox.
Nice work. Okay. Oh, a number 3 snake appeared and replaced it.
No!
Oh, and a number 1 snake. I can't pass that up. I'm going to trade in my rat. And I'm going to grab that number 3 and that number 1 snake. That's too valuable. You can't pass that up. A number 3 vet card is just, those are the most powerful.
So we have...
Me dominating you, yes.
1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to spend 4.
No!
Now, one of these is the cold hard cash. You can use it as a wild. So...
Oh, you just took over my factory. You muscled in on my territory, woman. Oh, not cool, Carmen, not cool. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that each animal will appear on 2 different cards. For instance, the fox will always appear in the theaters and in the hotels. Sharks will always appear in the gaming halls, and they'll always appear at the restaurants. And that helps you manage your cards. My briefcase, so I'm going to discard one of my briefcases, And I'm going to take this gaming hall with a 3 value, and I'm going to place it right here next to my hotel. It says it takes either 3 sharks or snakes or any combination. So I will get rid of 3 exact snakes, discard those, and now I have taken over the gaming hall. Carmen?
Okay, I'm keeping my eye on this deck here to see when it's going to run out.
Oh, then I'll replace that with a new one. Sorry about that. Okay, are you all done?
Yes.
Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to spin another briefcase, and I want to grab this number 2 valued restaurant. I'm going to place it right there. I am going to discard a shark, and I will take over that as well. Ooh! Now, it's only worth 2, but it might play into my agenda.
Okay, so I'm going to spin 2.
Oh, no. No!
4,
No! No!
5.
You're taking over my hotel!
6.
No! Oh my god, I thought I was safe there. I thought there would be no way he was going to take that from me. Oh no. Okay, well, I got to draw 2 cards. Okay, go ahead. Oh man, I did not think there was any way he was going to get that out from me.
I will draw 2 cards.
Alright, let's see here. Okay, so it's going to take me 7 to get that back? Oh, that is like almost next to near impossible. Yep, thank you. Sorry, I forgot to flip over the next one. Alright, darn. I'm going to spend my cold hard cash, and I'm going to collect both of these foxes, and I'm going to grab this weasel. Yep, okay. And Carmen? Oh! Not a good idea. Maybe I should grab the rat instead. Yep.
Now keep in mind, if you have a lot of one type of animal, for example foxes, you might want to go for a really expensive hotel, or you might want to go for a lot of territory. So you might break that up and use some foxes in a theater and some in a hotel that are less expensive building. Okay, so I'm going to spend 4 sharks and take over this gaming hall.
What are you doing? Get out of my territory!
You keep taking over my stuff!
Stop it! Man. Okay, well, I'm going to trade in. I am thinking, oh man, this 1 weasel, and I want to get these 3 rats. Okay. Oh my god. Ah! What you want? The law card has appeared, which means that the game is over. I thought I was going to be able to try to snooker out another turn here, but I should have been paying attention to the stack. Okay, so Carmen, very, very good job. First thing we're going to do is we are going to start with the player that did reveal the law card, which was me, and I am now going to have to reveal my agendas. My agendas were connected. I had the control the most connected properties. Well, unfortunately, that didn't happen because Carmen,
wow,
you had such an amazing late surge. Congratulations. The other thing was I had majority, which was that I would control the most properties as well, which I didn't do that neither because you have 4 and I only have 3. So what were your 2 agendas?
Well, that is interesting because I did not go for those agendas because normally if I do, you do this to me.
Well, I should have been smarter.
You do exactly what I did to you and you take over my stuff.
I should have been smarter and tried to branch out and try to get some of these, but they were so expensive.
Because we kept fighting over the same ones.
Well, I thought I was going to lock you out.
Well, this is why we kept fighting over them. I had gaming halls and hotels, so I had to take that one from you.
Okay, so you do have the most hotels, which will give you 3 points, so I'm going to give you 3 points for that. And then gaming halls, you have 2 and I only have 1, so that gives you an additional 3, so now you are at 6 to my 0. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to add up the number of brief tokens we have left over, which I only have 2, and then Carmen, you still have all... Man, she got 6 for that, so she's now beaten me 12 to 2. Next, we're going to add up the values in the top left-hand corner. So let's just start with me. I've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Which will put me at a grand total of 10 for this round. And Carmen has 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, which will put her directly at 25. So this would be the end of round 1. You know, Carmen obviously is thrashing me. And you would play a total of 2 more rounds, and then whoever has the most points wins the game. Alright, so that was round 1. There would have been 2 more rounds, but Carmen, you are the champion of round 1. You know, clapping for yourself is a little conceited. Alright, so let's talk about the actual game we just played a little bit, and then we'll get into what we think of the game. I thought I had Carmen muscled to force her up top. I did not expect her to come down and take over that hotel.
Yeah.
That shocked me, and at that moment I was a little befuddled, and I probably should have tried to swap out my agenda at that moment because it was so close to end game, but you timed that perfect. I mean, wow.
Yeah, the timing just happened to be, you know, I couldn't have known that that card was coming next. I knew it was getting close, but he could have had another round and taken it back away from me. But he didn't expect me to take that hotel because he did not know that was my agenda. Yeah. My agenda was to have the most hotels. It was the only one.
And there was only one hotel on the entire board, and then that's why you took it over at the beginning, but me taking it back over, really, you was like starting to sweat bullets that you're not going to complete.
I need this hotel. And I'd had a game in the past that we played where I switched my agenda, and then I had to switch it again before the end of the game. So I was like, I'm not wasting 2 turns on switching my agenda. I gotta hit this hotel.
I can't forget that one because you were so mad at me. Okay, so let's talk about the game itself now. Now, what you enjoy is the fact that this is kind of not really set collecting as much. And
right. I mean, it has set collecting, but let's face it, there's a lot of set collecting games out there, the light card games. But this one has the addition of the area control. And also, because it's set collecting, but you have a variety that you can do with these because the animals show up on 2 different buildings. So you've got some choices to make there.
Okay, and I think what's neat about it, because it does have this cartoony theme to it, it's not trying to pass itself off as something that it's not. This is a lighter game.
All right.
Okay.
This is obviously a lighter game. So they didn't try to put a heavy theme on it and try to, you know, pass it off as a gamer's
and I think
game you're going to pull out for the guys on game night.
Right.
No, it's not.
And I think if they would have used like real characters like Mafia and they're all tough looking and, you know, shooting their guns and all that, that would try to pass the game off as something that it's really not meant to be. But given the fact that they did use the cartoon animals, it does keep in with the feel and the theme. And speaking of that, what I think is neat is that the locations where each one of these animals are located. Now, keep in mind, each animal is in 2 different locations or 2 different buildings. Okay.
Right.
For instance, the sharks are found in the gaming hall along with the snakes, and I think that is hilariously thematic.
Right.
That you have like the pool shark with the snakes, the gamblers, the the underbelly, you know, the deceiving ones.
And then the fox is dressed up as an actress, and she's in the theater and in the hotel.
Exactly.
So it makes sense.
Well, she got a little cork gun too. I think it's cute. But what's funny is that the rat is like in the restaurant. And I think he's in the factory as well, where, you know, you expect to see rats.
And the shark is in the restaurant because, you know, they're in the soup.
I was going to say, I was trying to lead you to it because it was hilarious when we were playing this.
I always think of them being in the soup.
Her and I were talking about this, how we thought it was cute and thematic that each one of them, and I said, well, why would a shark be running the restaurant? And she was like, shark fin soup. And I was like, well, there you go, you have it. Okay, so final thoughts on the game. Do you like the game? Do you recommend the game? So
I enjoy the game a lot. I mean, like I said, I think the fact that it's got the area control along with the set collecting really makes it to where I want to play it again. So
I think even though it's a lighter game, I think it's I think it's a well-balanced game. None of our games have been, I mean, even though this live play, she ran away from me in the first round here, most of our games have been pretty close when it comes to the last 3rd round because the player that's in last gets to go first in the next round, which that does make a little bit of a difference because you could get a better selection of the lineup, possibly. Overall, I think that gameplay, they had some strategy. How are you going to, you know, are you going to start taking over the properties? Like, for instance, I thought I had her muscled out. She waited to the perfect time to take that hotel back. And I think, in a way, you know, it's kind of like that clock is a-ticking because the law's going to show up.
Yeah.
And by her doing that, it showed the strategy of the game. She knew I would not have the time to take that back over. So that negated my agendas, which, you know, once again, I could have tried to swap those out, which is another part of the strategy. So even though it's all there, it still feels light enough, but yet there's still enough there, kind of the meat on the bone, I guess to say.
To
keep you interested.
Yes.
I like how the map constantly changes from one game to the next. So at the start of each round, you would reshuffle the city cards and deal out a whole nother set. So the city is constantly changes, and I never see 2 games being exactly the same. So all in all, yes, I do approve of this game. I think it's a lot of fun, and I do recommend it. Now keep in mind, we have no skin in this game. We don't, you know, we don't get paid for these or anything like that. So anything we're telling you is honest and true from the heart, that we think this is a pretty cool game and you should definitely check it out.